The truth about my marriage didn't come from my wife. It came from my 6-year-old son. And the moment he said those words, I felt something inside my chest quietly break. Because children don't lie about things they don't understand. They just repeat what they hear. That night started like any other normal evening. Dinner was simple: spaghetti and garlic bread. My wife Claire had made it while I helped our son with his homework at the kitchen table. Everything looked normal. Everything felt normal. But sometimes, the biggest secrets hide behind the most ordinary nights. My name is Ethan Miller. I'm 38 years old. For the past 12 years, I've been running a small construction company in Portland. It's not a massive business, but it's stable. We renovate houses, remodel kitchens, build small additions. Honest work. The kind of work that keeps your hands rough and your mind tired by the end of the day. But I never complained, because every time I drove home after work, I believed I was returning to something meaningful. A family. Claire and I had been married for 10 years. We met when I was 28. She worked at a real estate office that often partnered with my construction company. At first, we only spoke about work, property renovations, budgets, deadlines, but over time, our conversations slowly turned personal. Claire had a quiet charm. She wasn't loud or dramatic like some of the other people I knew. She was calm, thoughtful, and incredibly organized. The kind of woman who planned everything weeks ahead. That's probably what attracted me to her. My life had always been chaotic contract deadlines, broken tools, unpredictable clients. Claire brought order into it. Within 2 years of meeting, we were married. 2 years after that, our son Lucas was born. And for a long time, I believed we were happy. Sure, marriage isn't perfect. We had arguments sometimes, mostly about work schedules or money. Running a business meant long hours, and Claire occasionally complained that I was never home enough, but I always tried my best. Everything I built was for them, for Claire, for Lucas. That's why what happened last Tuesday felt so unreal. We were sitting at the dinner table when Lucas suddenly looked up at me. His face was serious, in that strange way kids sometimes get, when they think they know something important. "Daddy?" he said. "Yeah. Buddy?" He twirled his fork slowly in the spaghetti. "Are you moving to another house soon?" For a second, I thought I misheard him. "What?" He shrugged. "Mommy said you might live somewhere else." The fork slipped from my hand and hit the plate. Claire froze. The entire room went silent. Lucas didn't notice anything strange. He just kept eating. But my heart had started beating faster. I slowly turned my head toward Claire. She wasn't looking at me. She was staring at Lucas. "Sweetheart," she said gently. "Finish your dinner." Lucas nodded. Then he stood up with his plate and walked to the sink like nothing unusual had happened. But the damage was already done. I looked back at Claire. "What did he mean?" I asked quietly. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she wiped her hands with a napkin like she was buying time. "Kids misunderstand things," she said. That didn't sound like a misunderstanding. Claire sighed. "Ethan, it's not a big deal." "Then explain it." She finally looked at me. Her expression was calm. Too calm. "I was just talking to a friend," she said. "Lucas overheard something. About me moving out?" "It wasn't like that." "Then what was it like?" Claire leaned back in her chair. "I mentioned that sometimes couples separate." My stomach tightened. "You mentioned that to who?" "My friend Sarah." "And Lucas heard that?" "Yes. But he specifically said I might move out." Claire shrugged. "You're reading too much into it." I stared at her, trying to read her face. For 10 years, I thought I understood this woman better than anyone else. But at that moment, something felt different. Not guilt, not sadness, just distance. "Claire," I said carefully, "are you planning to divorce me?" Her reaction was immediate. "No." The answer came fast, but something about the way she said it felt rehearsed, like someone answering a question they had already prepared for. "You're overthinking," she added. Maybe I was. Maybe Lucas really did misunderstand something. But later that night, while Claire was giving Lucas a bath, I walked into the living room to grab my phone from the coffee table. That's when I noticed Claire's laptop sitting open on the couch. Normally, I never looked at her computer. Privacy mattered in our marriage, but something about Lucas's words kept echoing in my head. "Are you moving to another house soon?" The screen was still on, and right there in the middle of the page was an email. The subject line made my chest tighten instantly. Divorce consultation. Appointment confirmation. My hands went cold. The message was from a law office, and the appointment was scheduled for Thursday morning, 2 days from now. The sender had written one short sentence in the email. We look forward to discussing your separation options. Separation. Not couples therapy. Not advice. Separation. My heart started pounding in my chest. Because the email wasn't addressed to both of us, it was addressed to Claire Miller, which meant my 6-year-old son hadn't misunderstood anything. He had simply told me the truth. My wife of 10 years was planning to divorce me, and she hadn't said a single word about it. But the part that hurt the most was realizing that my child was the one who accidentally revealed it. For a long moment, I just stood there staring at the screen. The words didn't move. They didn't disappear. The email was real. Divorce consultation. Appointment confirmation. I read it again and again. Each time the meaning sank deeper into my chest. Claire was meeting a divorce lawyer in 2 days. Not we, just her. My hands slowly moved to the laptop. I scrolled down. The message was short, professional, cold. It confirmed the appointment time, the office address, and a reminder to bring any relevant financial documents regarding shared assets. Shared assets. My stomach twisted. Our house, our savings, my business. 10 years of marriage suddenly reduced to paperwork. I quickly closed the laptop when I heard footsteps coming down the hallway. Claire walked back into the living room with a towel over her shoulder. "Lucas is in bed," she said. Then she noticed me standing there. "You look tired." "Long day," I replied. She walked past me toward the kitchen. "Do you want tea?" "No, I'm good." My voice sounded strange even to me. Flat, controlled, inside. My thoughts were spinning like a storm. I wanted to confront her immediately. I wanted to demand an explanation, but something stopped me. If Claire had been honest with me, she would have told me about the lawyer already. The fact that she didn't meant one thing. She wasn't ready for me to know. So instead of confronting her, I decided to wait. That night, we went to bed like everything was normal. Claire fell asleep quickly, as she always did. But I stayed awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking about the past 10 years, trying to figure out where everything went wrong. Had I missed signs? Was she unhappy? Was there someone else? Around 2 in the morning, I quietly got out of bed and walked to the kitchen. The apartment was silent. I poured myself a glass of water and leaned against the counter. My mind kept returning to one question. Why now? If Claire wanted a divorce, why hide it? Why schedule a lawyer secretly? Why not just talk to me? Unless she was preparing something. The thought made my chest tighten. Divorces weren't just emotional, they were financial. And Claire had always been extremely organized when it came to money. That realization made me uneasy. The next morning, I decided to pay attention, really pay attention. Claire acted normal during breakfast. She packed Lucas's school bag. She reminded me to call the plumber about the upstairs bathroom. She even kissed me on the cheek before leaving to run errands. But now that I knew about the email, every little thing felt different. Like watching a movie where you suddenly realize the villain was there the whole time. Later that afternoon, I called my friend Marcus. Marcus and I had known each other for almost 15 years. He was the closest thing I had to a brother. When he picked up, he immediately heard something wrong in my voice. "What's going on?" "I think Claire is planning to divorce me." There was a pause. "What?" "I saw an email from a lawyer." Another pause. Then Marcus asked the question I had been avoiding. "Did you confront her?" "No." "Why not?" "Because she hasn't told me yet." Marcus sighed. "That's not good." "Yeah. Do you think she's preparing legally before telling you?" "That's exactly what I'm worried about." Marcus had gone through a divorce himself a few years ago. A brutal one. If anyone understood the process, it was him. "Listen," he said carefully. "You need to protect yourself. I'm not trying to start a war. I know. But if she's already talking to lawyers, you're behind." His words hit me harder than I expected. Behind. I never imagined my marriage could become a competition, but maybe it already had. "First thing," Marcus continued, "check your finances." "What do you mean?" "Bank accounts, credit cards, business funds." My heart skipped. "You think she's moving money?" I'm saying you should make sure she isn't. After the call ended, I opened my banking app. At first glance, everything looked normal. But when I checked the transaction history more carefully, something caught my attention. 3 transfers, each for $5,000. All sent within the last 2 weeks. All to the same account. An account I didn't recognize. My stomach tightened again. I opened the details. The name on the receiving account made my chest go cold. Daniel Carter. Claire's cousin. The same cousin who had recently started a business opportunity and had been visiting our house more often. I leaned back in my chair. $15,000. Transferred quietly, without telling me, and now Claire was secretly meeting with a divorce lawyer. My pulse started racing, because suddenly this didn't look like a simple divorce anymore. It looked like something planned. Carefully planned. Later that evening, Claire came home with groceries. She walked into the kitchen smiling. You wouldn't believe the traffic today. I watched her place vegetables on the counter. Her movements were calm, relaxed, almost cheerful. Like nothing in the world was wrong. But now I couldn't stop seeing things differently. The secret lawyer appointment, the hidden money transfers, the quiet conversations Lucas had overheard. Claire turned to me. You're quiet again. I'm just thinking. About work? I looked directly at her. No. For a moment, our eyes locked, and I realized something unsettling. Claire didn't look nervous. She looked confident, like someone who believed everything was already under control. That realization sent a chill through my spine. Because if Claire thought she had everything under control, then she must have been planning this for a long time, and I had been completely blind to it. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about the bank transfers. $15,000, sent quietly to Claire's cousin Daniel. 3 separate payments, all within 2 weeks, and somehow, she never mentioned any of it. The more I thought about it, the worse it felt. Claire had always been careful with money. She tracked every bill, every grocery receipt, every small expense in a budgeting app, which meant those transfers weren't accidents. They were intentional and hidden. The next morning, I decided to do something I had never done before. I started watching my own wife, not in an obvious way, just observing. Claire moved through the kitchen like she always did, making breakfast for Lucas and packing his lunchbox. Lucas, finish your milk, she said gently. Our son made a face. I don't like milk. You liked it yesterday. That was yesterday. Claire laughed softly and ruffled his hair. Watching them together, it was hard to believe anything was wrong. She looked like a perfect mother. Calm, patient, normal. But I had seen the email and the bank transfers, and those 2 things refused to leave my mind. After Lucas left for school, Claire grabbed her purse. I'm meeting Sarah for coffee, she said. Okay. She walked toward the door, then paused. Are you going to the office today? Later. Don't forget you promised Lucas you'd help him with his science project tonight. I remember. She gave me a small smile and left. The door clicked shut. The apartment went silent. And suddenly, I had an opportunity. I hated the idea of invading her privacy, but something inside me said I needed answers. I walked into the bedroom and opened Claire's dresser drawer. Inside was her jewelry box. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't have touched it. But right now, normal circumstances didn't exist anymore. I lifted the lid. Inside were the usual things. Earrings, bracelets, a few rings, but something else caught my attention. On the envelope, it was tucked under the jewelry tray. I slowly pulled it out. The envelope wasn't sealed. Inside were printed documents, legal documents. My heart started pounding as I scanned the pages. Preliminary asset division proposal. My chest tightened. I flipped to the next page, and that's when my stomach dropped. The document listed our assets. The house, our joint savings, my construction company, everything. But the percentages next to them made my blood run cold. Claire would receive the house, 60% of our savings, and half ownership of my business. I read the numbers again, then again. My business alone was worth nearly $2 million. Claire had never worked a single day there, but according to this proposal, she would own half of it. I sat down on the edge of the bed, stunned. This wasn't just a divorce plan. It was a financial strategy, and Claire had clearly been preparing it with a lawyer. But something else on the final page caught my attention. A handwritten note. It wasn't Claire's handwriting. It looked like a man's. 3 words were written beside the asset list. Make him agree. My stomach twisted. Make him agree. Agree to what? To giving away half of everything I built? To signing papers that would destroy my company? My thoughts immediately turned to Daniel, Claire's cousin, the same man receiving those mysterious bank transfers. Daniel had always given me strange vibes. Too charming, too confident, the kind of guy who always had a business idea, but never seemed to actually work. And recently, he had been visiting more often, very often, almost like he was advising Claire about something. A cold realization slowly formed in my mind. What if Daniel wasn't just borrowing money? What if he was helping her plan this divorce? The thought made my jaw tighten. Because if that was true, then Claire wasn't just leaving me. She was planning to take as much as possible before she did. I quickly returned the documents to the envelope and placed it back exactly where I found it. Minutes later, the front door opened. Claire walked inside holding a coffee cup. "Hey," she said cheerfully. I walked into the kitchen like nothing had happened. "How was coffee?" "Good. Sarah sends her love." Claire placed her purse on the counter. Then she looked at me. "You seem quiet again. Just thinking about work." She smiled. "You think too much." Maybe she was right, but right now, thinking was the only thing keeping me calm. That evening, Lucas sat at the dining table working on his science project. Claire was in the kitchen cutting vegetables. I helped Lucas glue cardboard pieces together for his volcano model. Suddenly, Lucas looked up at me again. "Daddy?" "Yeah?" "Mommy talked to Uncle Daniel today." My hands stopped moving. "Did she?" Lucas nodded. "They talked about the new house." My heart skipped a beat. "What new house?" Lucas shrugged. "The one Mommy said we might move to." Across the room, Claire froze. The knife in her hand stopped mid-cut. Lucas didn't notice, but I did. Slowly, I turned toward my wife, and for the first time since this whole nightmare began, I saw real panic in her eyes. Because our son had just revealed something she clearly didn't want me to know. Claire forced a smile. "Lucas, honey, go wash your hands. But I'm not done. Now, please." Lucas sighed and walked toward the bathroom. The moment he disappeared down the hallway, Claire turned to me, and the calm expression she had been wearing for days finally cracked. "Ethan," she said quietly, "we need to talk." Claire stood in the kitchen doorway, her face tense, in a way I had never seen before. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The house felt too quiet. From the hallway, I could hear the bathroom faucet running as Lucas washed his hands. Claire looked toward the hallway, then back at me. "We shouldn't talk about this in front of him," she said quietly. I crossed my arms. "Talk about what exactly?" Her jaw tightened. "You know what? Do I?" That was the strange part. A few days ago, I would have said no, but now I knew more than she realized. The secret lawyer appointment, the hidden money transfers, the documents inside the envelope, and now, the new house. I leaned back against the counter. "All right," I said. "Let's talk." Claire glanced toward the hallway again, making sure Lucas couldn't hear us. Then she lowered her voice. "I didn't want you to find out like this." I almost laughed. "Through our 6-year-old? She didn't respond. Instead, she walked over to the table and sat down slowly. Her hands were clasped together like she was trying to stay calm. "I was going to tell you," she said. "When?" She hesitated. "Soon." I stared at her. "You already scheduled a divorce consultation with a lawyer." Her head snapped up. "How do you know that?" "You left your laptop open." The color drained slightly from her face. "You read my email?" "You were planning to end our 10-year marriage without telling me." Claire rubbed her forehead. "It wasn't finalized, but it was planned." Silence filled the room. For years, I had imagined how difficult conversations in marriage might go. Arguments, apologies, maybe even therapy. But I never imagined sitting across from my wife while discussing divorce like it was a business meeting. Claire exhaled slowly. "I've been unhappy for a long time." The words hit harder than I expected. "Since when?" "Since you started spending every waking hour on your company." I frowned. "That company supports this family." "I know, but you're never home." "That's not true." "Ethan," she said quietly, "you missed Lucas's last 2 school events." Guilt flickered in my chest. She wasn't completely wrong. Running a construction business meant unpredictable hours, but I had always believed I was doing it for them. For our future, I said. Claire shook her head. You always say that. Because it's true. Maybe for you. Her voice was calm, but the words cut deep. For a moment, I didn't know what to say. Then another thought returned to my mind. The money. Why are you sending money to Daniel? I asked. Claire blinked. What? I checked the bank account. Her eyes widened slightly. That's private. So is secretly planning a divorce. Her lips pressed together. That money is none of your concern. $15,000 is definitely my concern. Claire stood up abruptly. Daniel needed help. For what? His business. I laughed bitterly. Daniel doesn't have a business. You don't know that. I know he's always asking people for money. Her expression hardened. You've never liked him.